Hello everyone, welcome to Crafty Hand Studio Backstage. In this video, we'll take the idea that we played on the acoustic piano earlier and get it entered into the computer. Once there, we'll be able to change the sounds we assign to the MIDI files, add new layers of instruments, and come up with a working arrangement. This is my workstation. Okay, here we are backstage, ready to digitize the first project we're doing for our backstage members called Leaving. In part one, we played the idea for the song at the acoustic piano, and now we're going to go into the studio control room, sit down and get this digitized. We're going to enter it into our computer where we can start working on it. First thing we'll do, open Cubase. That's our digital workstation, our audio workstation. Going to try not to make this a review of Cubase so much, but just show you the template I'll use for working on songs. And in the studio and gear review section, I do intend to look at Cubase in a little more depth. I use 3 monitors for my working here because I require a lot of real estate for the plugins, tracks window, mixing. The more monitors, the better as far as I'm concerned. But for the sake of clarity and so you'll be able to see the details, for these videos I'll just focus on a primary monitor, and I'll try to drag things over there so you can see them when you need to be looking at something specifically. First thing we'll open is our solo template. This is a blank template that I've set up to use for any of the projects that I work on when I'm by myself. There are larger templates set up for the band that include a lot more tracks and a lot more specific settings. In this particular setup, I have a time signature track, which is defaulted to 3/4 time. I know that this particular tune is it's going to have several time changes, as most of my songs do, but the first bar is usually what I'll put in. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. So let's just change that 3/4 to 7, 8. That'll give us a working time signature. That's what this track's all about. We can change the time signature per measure as we go through the song. I generally will not bother until the end of the song or till at least one complete track like this piano track is done. Then I'll go back through and I'll change each bar to the proper time signature. Next we have a tempo track. This determines how fast or slow the song is. Once we have the MIDI in there, we can hear it. Right now it's set to 160 beats per minute. I have an audio track so that I could quickly drag in an audio reference. If I've recorded something at the piano, we'll drag it in there. I won't do that in this case because I'm just going to play it all over. The part we used in the first video was broken up into little sections as I commented on it, so it wouldn't really do us much good as it's non-contiguous audio at that point. Here's a keyboards folder that's in the template. After the MIDI files are bounced to audio, I'll collect all the MIDI stuff in this folder here so I can get it out of sight, and we'll just be working with audio. That's something we'll see later. Here's our main workhorse track. This is a MIDI track where we will record the MIDI that we produce from this keyboard and then work on it. In this track we can assign different instruments to use. We'll come back to that in a second. There's one more track that's in the template. It's an effects channel where after we've converted to audio, we can use these effects channels as sends. We could put reverb on a song, or we could put other plugins that we use as sends on the digital mixing console. Okay, let's save the template as our song. Go File, Save As, and we're going to call it, let's see, I want to put it in audio, I want to put it in leaving, and we're going to call it leaving. And we'll include all of the files that we need in this one master project. Okay, now we've saved our file to leaving. First thing we want to do is go to our MIDI track. It's actually an instrument track. It's called an instrument track in Cubase. It's where we record the MIDI file. The instrument that's selected at the moment is Halion Sonic SE, which is a sampling program included with Cubase. We'll open the plugin. Here's what it looks like. Mellow Grand Piano is chosen. Not bad. Let's see. I think we'll use a different piano sound. This Yamaha S90E. Let's try that. I like that sound better. That's what we'll use to record our piano track. First thing we do, arm the track. It's armed now. Make sure we're at 1. I'm going to turn the metronome on, and this little button here will give us a pre-count. It'll count us in 2 bars of the chosen time signature, which is 7/8. So we'll hear 2 bars of 7/8, and then I'll play along. I won't do the whole song now, but I'll record a bit of the first verse so I can show you how we input the MIDI. Click record. Be enough for our example. As you can see on the screen, we've recorded a MIDI file. This is what it looks like if we blow it up. So we'll open a MIDI view. Each of those little dots is a note. Looks like I played along with the click fairly good, but we're going to make sure everything lines up perfectly by quantizing. So we'll select everything. Select all. Grays out as it chooses the MIDI. And we're going to quantize to an 1/8 note grid. Choose 1/8, hit quantize. You see the notes shift a little bit. That's going to sound a little mechanical at this point. I'm not too worried about that. We can humanize it later if we think it needs it. Let's have a listen. I heard a blooper in there. It's one of the beautiful things about MIDI. You can listen to each note. That guy is not supposed to be there. We'll delete it. And you can go through the entire file, listening, choosing, making sure you don't have any errors. Clean it up really nicely. Play some more. Another bloop. It's okay. Let's have a look at the tempo. Well, first, let's locate this in the project. I like to leave a few bars at the beginning so that we can add stuff later easily. So let's blow it up to where you can see each individual bar up here now. You'll notice each bar is showing up. It's expanded the view. I'm going to grab this and drag it over 6 bars. We'll let the project start on the 6th bar. We have 4 bars before a count in could start. Once it gets to the audio phase, things have transferred from MIDI to audio. I might want to put a audio track of the count in here. So we'll leave 4 bars as a safety area, and then we'll throw in a marker here for the count in. If you want to drop stuff on a grid and precisely locate it, you click this little icon up here and it'll snap to the grid, and then we're going to enter a marker there. So now we're going to set a marker for this point. We've snapped to the grid. We'll set a marker by going Project, Markers. This little window will come up. Function, Insert Marker. We have that there. We'll go through and name it later. Going to also insert a marker where the song audio will start. And we have a couple of markers that we can snap to when we're working with the song. We've quantized our MIDI. Start it here. Let's look at the tempo track. I'm going to go through and change all of these time signatures to fit the bars, but right now I want to listen to the end of this MIDI track because I know for a fact that I want it to slow down, have a retardando at the end, the ending 2 bars perhaps. Let's go to end of the song, or end of this little section rather. Say we're at bar 32 on the tempo track. We'll change it from fixed tempo to track, and that'll let us edit it. We'll click a little marker in here, click another marker here towards the end of this, and we're going to slow it down. Let's say, actually the tempo is not properly set in the track view, so let's raise it up to 1. I think that 160 was a bit fast, so we're going to make it 155, drop it down just a hair. Over here towards the end, make sure we keep a consistent tempo of 155 to the point where we want to start slowing down. And let's take it down to about say 116. And we'll bring it back up after the ending. Back up to the tempo we want to use. 155. See how that works. Starts too soon. Like that. Check it one more time. Okay, I'm going to take a break from videoing here. I'll finish inputting the MIDI for the entire piano track and go back through, show you how we change some of these time signatures. Actually, let's do a little of that now in the shorter version. We know we're at 7/8 here. Changes to a couple of bars of 4/8 there. It's a bar of 6 here, so we're going to change the tempo, the time signature to 6/8 for this track. Starting there, we have a couple of bars of 4/8. This might be easier to view in the MIDI. Starting on bar 8, we have a couple of bars of 4/8. You get the idea. Time signatures for each bar will now change as the song progresses. I'll edit all that. It's rather tedious and certainly not very exciting to watch. Right, so now I've gone through, entered all the MIDI for the piano. You can see it's done in some sections here where I would start and stop. And I've then gone by the time signature track and entered all of the time signature changes using the MIDI information that I put in to count the bars. You can see there's quite a few time changes. It's like I can't make up my mind. But it's just that's what the song is. I don't intentionally do this. It's just what happens. The center section settles down into 3/4 time for a while. You can also see on the tempo track, I added some automation for the retardandos and tempo changes. Let's listen to one and watch that automation so you can see how it works. Settled into the new 19 for the middle section. Let's have a look at that MIDI. This point, we're just getting our foundation laid down, start adding stuff to it in the arrangement. So that's what we have so far. The complete track, piano-wise, inserted in a MIDI format. Our tempo track created, so we have all our time changes done, and a time signature track marking the different time signature changes throughout the song. Okay, thanks for watching part 2. If you'd like to listen to the complete piano track soloed, what we've just created in this MIDI file, I'll put a link below back on the website page. Hope you come back next week for part 3. We'll start adding some other layers of instruments and fill out the arrangement. Thanks again. See you next week.